Roger once again, Mudfossil University in Africa, Morocco, Atlas Mountains, so to speak. And here we have a dragon. Okay, we have this big red dragon, and his dragon scaled throat is right here, and it runs all the way down his dragon scaled body for many miles. You see his throat going all the way down into his tummy, and then it goes past all through his stomach all the way down to his dragon scaled tail, which we can see over here. Now, these runoffs are what happens when a dead body decays. And any anatomist or coroner can certainly tell you that. And this dragon happened to be attacking violently with some very nasty stuff against that fish that is right under here, which is another enormously giant creature, this fish. And that's his fin. He attacked his fin with power. And there's the fish's tail, you see it? And there's the fish's body right there. I think that's his eye. And that's the scales. So what we're looking at here is two gigantic creatures that we're now going to discuss, that were written about long ago. Now, just to throw in a little kicker here, you notice that all of this stuff ran out here into the ocean. It's quite obvious. And it ran off here, and they know there's a huge amount of sediment out there. They don't realize it ran out of here. I don't know how. They think it came from offshore, but whatever. Now, what it is, though, is you can see it's quite obvious that it has run off of this red dragon and has swished over here, and some of it has come across the fish. So we know that this happened at the same time or shortly after these two met their demise. Now, this all ran into the ocean. Now, why did that happen? There's a story that Plato talked about called Atlantis, and this is exactly the shape of Atlantis. It's exactly the sizes, exactly the dimensions. There's actually boats that are still in the slips here, I believe, that I've been talking to people about, but nobody seems to care. And these are all the little channels that come in, and so there's some boats in these slips and all kinds of things going on here. And I believe this is Atlantis. All of these colors are transition metal colors, and they said which transition metals are metals, and they have these colors, and that is the colors that you see there, and that was said to have been on the walls. Now, there was also a story that there was a straits here, and that looks like a straits to me. And that straits was said to have been collapsed long ago. Now, I've looked on the sides here, and there was obviously some other structures here that they supported this straits, and that apparently was the inlet and outlet through the Atlantis Mountains. The Atlas Mountains, I'm sorry, Atlantis Mountains. Well, obviously, Atlantis Mountains. These are the Atlas Mountain range that runs through here. And originally that held this ocean in here. When it collapsed, it drained out, created the Cape Verde Islands and all this business out here. Now, so that is the story. Now let's go into what was written about this, because I mean this is kind of a strange event here. And I'm not hiding anything. You come out here, it's like Google Earth. There's a Google Earth. There's Google Earth. Come out here and look, and go in. I mean, it'll blow your mind. You could come in here and look at every single detail of the stuff that he spit out and all of his little dragon scales everywhere. It's absolutely phenomenal. Look at this. Nobody could tell me, oh, it's the geologists, oh, that's all natural. That's all I have to say to them. Now, so let's go see what they had written, and it's going to blow. It blew my mind, I can tell you that. I don't know if your mind gets blown easily, but if it even can be blown, it will be. By the way, just so you understand, these guys are both, obviously they're dead now, but they apparently fought each other. And this is where he spit out the stuff, the dragon. This all very, very, very nasty. And it's almost identical to snake venom. The look of it is very, very similar. I've looked up snake venom. Now, it hit in this area and just combusted all over this fish. And watch what happened on the fish's flesh. You come down here, that's the top of the fish's flesh right here. Look, watch what happened to it. This is nice, healthy flesh down here. You know, it doesn't look too bad. Nice blood vessel-y looking, scaly looking fish. Whoops. And what do we have where it was violated by dragon spit? There it is right there. That does not look good. That looks like it probably hurt a lot. And it's rotted right into his flesh. So that's what you got here is a dead fish and a dead dragon, and that is exactly what was written. So let's see what it was. All right, you have seen the two monsters. Now this is the Leviathan and the Behemoth. Now this is from the Jewish Encyclopedia. It goes back to 1906, unedited full text. Now, this is when they were still writing truthful things. Now they're changing things. They really are. And that is not allowed. That's not going to go over well. Now, this is from www.jewishencyclopedia.com. Now, listen to this. The takeaway from this is they have no clue about the Leviathan and the Behemoth. They could be an ox or a hippopotamus, or they come up with all kinds of things. But let's cut right down to the chase. We get to some guy here is really did some research, and it's from Gunkel und Chaos. Chaos is the key, and you'll listen to this in a minute deeper. He suggests that the Behemoth and the Leviathan were the two primeval monsters corresponding to Tiamat, the abyss, and Kingu, the serpent, of Babylonian mythology. Some commentators find also in Isaiah. Now, it goes on and talks about, according to a midrash, the Leviathan was created on the 5th day. Originally, God produced a male and a female Leviathan, but lest in multiplying, the species should destroy the whole world. I mean, the things are absolutely enormous. He slew the female, reserving her flesh for the banquet that will be given to the righteous on the advent of the Messiah. The enormous size of the Leviathan is thus illustrated by Johann, from whom proceeded nearly all the Haggadah concerning this monster. That means all the stories that came down concerning the monster. And he claims that once we went in a ship and saw a fish which put his head out of the water. He had horns upon which was written, I am one of the meanest creatures that inhabit the sea. I am 300 miles in length, and enter this day into the jaws of the Leviathan. Now, whatever that means, whew, but those are all in quotes. Now, when the Leviathan is hungry, reports our Dimi, in the name of Johanan, he sends forth from his mouth a heat so great as to make all the waters of the deep boil. And if he put his head into the paradise, no living creature could endure the odor of him. His abode is the Mediterranean Sea, exactly where I'm showing these things. And the waters of the Jordan fall into his mouth. And I've been showing this. I know it's well over a year. It's got to be a couple of years. And I don't know why. It's just, you think it would go on viral or something. Nobody's, and my mud fossil stuff too. DNA certified giant mud fossils, no question whatsoever. And it's like, I don't know, people are like afraid. And I mean, this is spectacular, absolutely, but it's just what it is. Now, you saw what it said about Tiamat and Kingu. Listen to this. In religion of ancient Babylonian times, Tiamat is a primordial goddess of the salt sea, mating with Abzu, the god of fresh water, to produce younger gods. She is a symbol of chaos, of primordial creation. This is right from the beginning, looks like. She is referred to as a woman and described as the glistening one. It is suggested that there are two parts to the Tiamat mythos. The first is in which Tiamat is a creator goddess through a sacred marriage between salt and fresh water, peacefully creating the cosmos through successive generations. In the second Chaoskampf, Tiamat is considered the monstrous embodiment of primordial chaos. Some sources identify her with images of a sea serpent or dragon. Boy, I tell you, this is just mind-blowing stuff. In the Enuma Elish, the Babylonian epic of creation, she gives birth to the first generation of deities. Her husband Apsu, correctly assuming they are planning to kill him, usurps his throne, later makes war upon them, and is killed. Enraged, she too wars upon her husband's murderers, taking on the form of a massive sea dragon. She is then slain by Enki's son, the storm god Marduk, but not before she had brought forth the monsters of the Mesopotamian pantheon, including the first dragons, whose bodies she filled with poison instead of blood. Marduk then forms the heavens and the earth from her divided body. I mean, what do you say about this stuff? It's obviously so far off the edge that people can't rationally deal with it, it appears. But it was written, and we just always thought it was like, I don't know, stories to keep kids in line or something. But I don't know what to say other than it's time to look at this and have people really dig into this. Because, we're talking chaos. This goes back to chaos. Dragons and serpents and leviathans. And there's more to this story. This is a mission for me. There's a little more to this than I normally speak about. And I probably shouldn't speak about it. There's no reason to, because I'm just this messenger bringing a message, and it has nothing to do with me. What I want you to do is look at the evidence. Right? It's absolutely nothing to do with me. I don't want any money. I don't want anything to do with it. I want to do it. I want to be involved, obviously. I want to investigate this, and I want people to understand this is reality. All right? So come up to Mudfossil University, subscribe, click on the bell there. Get your friends to understand this. Talk to them, because this is reality. This is not some little curiosity, carnival, roadside stand sort of silly thing. And I know a lot of people are making it that way. They think they're trying to ruin my research, to be perfectly honest with you. There's unwise people out there that are doing that. And very, I don't know why they're doing it. They're going against God doing it. That's just a fact. Anybody that discredits honest, true things, or doesn't look at them and ignores them for their own personal agendas is not a truthful person, and that is not a godly person. That's just a fact. Come to Mudfossil University, Citadel of Truth. Never overlook reality. Okay, website is under development. This is Mudfossil University up on the web, and it links to well, you can get here easily by just putting in mudfossils with an s.com. See it up here, mudfossils with an s.com, or Mudfossil University. I'm sure will link there too. Now, I started this in 2012. It's my research, and I did the whole thing from top to bottom, DNA, CAT scans, anatomist research, the whole thing. And this brings you to my YouTube channel, and that is Facebook. And this is the DNA report if someone would like to scan through it. It goes back 3 years ago. It took several months to do it. Harvested under the most immaculate conditions of bleach and clean and plastic and scrubs and masks and gloves and the whole shooting match. Not any, plus it was taken out of arterial blood supply, so it's not something that was. It was dense, let me put it that way. It was done bacterial DNA extracted from each of the three. There was 3 specimens. It went through and you know, they show all the different, I don't know what they did here, but they did what they did. And it came back with all the different positive results. And here they are showing that one of them was not as dense as the other 2, but these came out of like blood, really. And he said it was dense for ancient DNA. And it's because I wasn't swabbing or anything. I was taking right out of the blood supply, because I understand where the blood supply is. And Homo sapien mitochondrial cytochrome B and Homo sapien mitochondrial D loop. So, and it was not some quickie little bing bong test, and it was expensive, and it was certified. And there was 2 certified labs involved. So go up onto Mudfossil University on YouTube and on Facebook, and we have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of videos, and they are all very good. And there's ones about Jesus, there's ones about rocks, there's ones about academia, there's ones about electrons and geologists and health and unified fields and gold. Come on up, get some reality, no charge.